Hey, Falcons and NFL fans. Welcome to another episode of NFL's Jocks and Pigskins with Tom Pollen, Chris Smitherman producing behind the scenes. I'm Dave Holcomb, back from remote upstate New York. Did you tell the audience where I was last week, Tom?
I couldn't remember where you were going. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. You could have just said a wedding and that would have covered it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Dave was gone for a wedding last week.
I know. Yeah. And I'll be gone for a wedding next week too. I say that,
friends don't let friends get married.
Well, friends don't let friends get married during football season.
That's true too. Exactly. Well, I told you that my sister scheduled her baby christening for my oldest niece at the same time as Super Bowl 20.
The same time, or was it Super Bowl Sunday?
It was Super Bowl Sunday. It was same day, same time.
Oh my God!
Missed it. It's just, these people got to think.
I think I told you this story. I have a similar thing with my grandparents. I remember hearing about it. I was around, but I was pretty little when the Steelers played in Super Bowl 30, I guess 10 years after the Bears. And the landlord, my grandparents were moving apartments, but in the same complex. I think they were just getting a smaller place, whatever. And the landlord asked them to move on Super Bowl Sunday. Steelers were playing in Super Bowl Sunday, and it was in Pittsburgh. It's hard to believe that, your sister lives in Chicago and she had the christening.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
like, don't you consider the important things in life? I mean,
right, exactly. Yeah,
it's a Super Bowl. It's the first one.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really bad. Like that's all time, like boneheaded scheduling there. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun wedding. It was a fun trip. Very tiring, but traveling on the plane with Thomas for the first time is tough. But I missed the games, and it's kind of feel like you're left out, the next day or even the Sunday night. And what was worse was I was in upstate New York and didn't really have cell connection, like, at all.
Oh,
and it was odd. Like, I'm not a very country guy, so I want to be close to my thing is I got to be close to a populated place that's populated enough to have a baseball team. That's my request. But it was nice to get away. But on Sunday, I was kind of questioning, like, how does everybody get around? How do they communicate? Like, I was in a town. The wedding was 2-3 miles outside of a small town, but I dropped my wife off, went into town for breakfast because I couldn't go back to I didn't want to go back to the hotel. It was 45 minutes away,
right.
Which the closest hotel was 45 minutes away. So this place is remote. But yes. So I found a diner to get breakfast, but then my phone stopped working. So I couldn't even put in directions to find a place for lunch 2 hours later.
Right.
And I couldn't really drive around and explore because if I got lost, I wouldn't be able to make it back to where the wedding was going to be. Yeah. So, and then forget checking my fantasy lineup or reading any pregame stories, or I was going to stream the Steelers or Falcons on my phone. And
right, exactly.
Forget it. I mean, I couldn't even look up the score, let alone try to watch it on my phone.
Amazing that there are still places in the United States that,
I don't know how close we were to Watertown. I should have looked, Chris, closer to a map, but we were by Albany. Saratoga Springs was like the closest big city. I mean, not really cities, but biggest populated area that people know. That's where we were by, more towards the eastern part of New York. I don't know how far we were from Syracuse, because I would have loved to have, taken a detour and gone on to Syracuse, but didn't really have time.
Too bad.
Yeah. But it was nice. We dropped Thomas off at the in-laws, my in-laws, and we had a weekend away, Shannon and I. So that was really nice.
Oh, that helps. Yep. That
Yeah.
always comes in handy.
Yeah.
Brian says, how we now depend on our smartphones is crazy for us old guys. I think you nailed it, Brian.
Yeah. And in a way, it was nice. It was freeing. It was like, I'm going to just find a diner. I'm just going to find what I can find. But at the same time, it's like we are so reliant on it.
Yes.
And I was afraid of getting lost. I didn't think to check my fantasy lineup before leaving the hotel. So I got a big fat 0 for Amon St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown being in my lineup because he was like a late inactive. So fortunately, I still won. But yeah, that was stunk that I couldn't get him out of my lineup or check if he was playing or not.
Exactly. Yeah, that's rough. It's it's these simple things in life that all of a sudden have become the simple things in life.
Right. Yeah. And the crazy thing
modern day problems.
Right. Yeah. And I was going to say the crazy thing, Tom, we have to do it all over again next weekend.
Oh,
we're flying to Philadelphia this time I'm going to leave Thomas with my parents. And we're driving to rural Pennsylvania. I don't know the name of the town. I don't know, what the cell situation is going to be for this one, but another Sunday wedding in October at 3:00.
I have 3 o'clock. Oh God, 3
like give me an 11 a.m. wedding on Sunday.
Right. Exactly.
11 a.m., 3 p.m.
Oh, jeez. I've driven through plenty of Pennsylvania. There is a lot of rural Pennsylvania.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Everything in between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia is rural Pennsylvania.
There's not a lot. Yes. It's true. It's true. It's kind of, for us Northeasterners, I'm originally from the Northeast. Pennsylvania is not a huge state if you're looking at the U.S. overall. But if you're looking at just the Northeast, Pennsylvania is pretty long, big state, and there's not a lot in the middle of it. You're right.
No, there isn't. As I said, I've driven through it many a time. So,
yeah, Chris says not a lot at all. Brian agrees with us. 3 p.m. is brutal. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
we're crying out loud.
So I was able to find a pizza parlor, and I was eating some wings. So but they didn't have on. They had on NFL Network, so it was like I never watched the NFL Network on a Sunday afternoon before. It was basically like Red Zone, but delayed, like 5 minutes.
Right.
After a play happens, they show a replay and they go through the games. So I caught, that until like 2:15, but I had to leave for the wedding. So I didn't even really see all of the first half of the 1 o'clock games, maybe most of the first half. And then, next week it's going to be, I guess it'll be the same thing, but opposite for my team, the Steelers. Like I saw the first half or was able to follow it at least. But next week they play at 4:25. So I'll miss the first half and I guess I'll be able to follow the second half.
Yeah, it was a hell of a game last week that they had. I'm telling you.
Well, I mean, that was a funny story too, because I'm at this pizza parlor and I'm not really seeing much of the game at all. And whenever they put up a highlight, it's the Baltimore Ravens moving the ball.
Right.
And they're scrolling through the games on the side, what's happening, who has the ball, and what spot. My expectations for the Steelers offense, Tom, has gotten so low. It got so low on Sunday that all I wanted to see when the game popped up was that the Steelers had the ball. Because every time the game popped up, it was like Ravens have the ball at the 35. Ravens have the ball in the red zone. Ravens have the ball at midfield. Why haven't we even possessed the dang ball yet? Let alone score. Forget scoring. I just want to have the ball.
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you. Yeah, it was rough. And they still won.
But yeah, so Yeah, so I mean, I was like, we're not winning this game. There's just that we
Yeah.
don't. Then they finally put up a highlight, Tom, and it's Kenny Pickett's sack on third downs.
Right.
Okay, that's a great highlight to see.
Uh-huh.
And I got to go at this point. For a while, the other thing that was weird with my phone was Twitter was working. Twitter was sending me notifications.
Wow.
But I couldn't get notifications or text messages. Anyway, like some apps were working, some weren't. But then, like by 3:00, Twitter stopped sending me notifications too. So I'm completely in the dark. Don't know what's happening in the world. And finally, someone said, "Oh, you can connect to the Wi-Fi here at the reception." I was like, "Okay, should I do that?" And my wife is like, "No, don't do it. You're going to be in a bad mood. They probably lost." Oh, so but then another notification came through my phone on ESPN, and it was like, Kenny Pickett, is he back on track? I'm like, back on track? What happened?
Right.
And I saw they won. And first of all, that was a bad notification. Kenny Pickett hasn't been on track in order to get back on track yet, but I understand the question, and they won. I was very happy. Should ask my wife my reaction. It was pretty funny. I was dancing all over the dance floor at the wedding. Beat the Ravens.
Oh man,
the game he really shouldn't have won. Really should not have won.
Right? No, shouldn't have. It's amazing. I just don't know. I don't get it, but
yeah. Brian says the Steelers missed Deontay Johnson. Yeah, I think so.
Yes, they sure do.
I don't think he's going to come back and like fix everything, but he's got a knack for just getting open. And maybe one of the positives of his injury is Kenny Pickett's had to look elsewhere, and maybe he's kind of learned the last few weeks to go through his progressions, find other receivers. Maybe he has a connection with George Pickens after last week and that great throw at the end of that game. And then you throw Deontay Johnson back in the offense, and you have that reliable target for him over the middle, move the chains a little bit. Maybe you got something there. But yeah, I mean, it's been tough sledding, and hopefully they do miss Johnson. Hopefully he's a boost I think he will be definitely a boost when.
Oh, he will be. Right.
He's supposed to play next week.
Oh, okay. So good.
Yeah, and we got another comment from Brian. That town literally hates Canada. Yeah. Hockey season has started, and there was a chant at the Penguins home opener, "Fire Matt Canada." So, and your Blackhawks came back in that one, Tom. Did you catch that game?
No, I didn't catch the game. I regretted not being able to catch that, but
you didn't see Connor Bedard's debut?
No, I didn't see Connor Bedard's debut. Would have loved to, because he is the savior. He is the guy. He's going to lead the Blackhawks to the promised land again.
Yeah, I mean, he looked pretty. Didn't score. I think he scored though in his second game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he looks pretty solid to start.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. Let's talk some Falcons.
Let's do that. Yes.
They got a big win last week against the Houston Texans. An exciting fourth quarter comeback again. Had to come back twice in that one. So, what did you see that you liked from Desmond Ridder in that game, Tom?
Well,
for those of us that had cell service and TV service, tell us folks who didn't have service that day, what did you like from the game?
Ridder did things that he had not done all season. And, maybe we should get the promo in too first before we get to that. I'm going to tell you everything right that I saw with Desmond Ridder. But first, here's Dave Holcomb with the show promo.
Oh, you're tossing it to me? You can say the promo.
I could have. Yeah, that's right. I've done that before. I do the promo really well at the end of the show. I screw it up royally at the beginning of the show.
Well, you did have to do it at the beginning of the show last week, so it's only fair that I have to do it now. So today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the app. When you do, use our promo code ASU. That gets you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. Some free money for you, and we'll have some suggestions on what players to use in week 6 coming up in a little bit.
Yep, absolutely. We got our picks. I got some good ones for you. But what I loved last week is Ritter did things that we have not seen him do all season. Going into the show last week, I looked at the targets, and Bijan Robinson was tied for the lead on the Falcons in targets, which should never happen. You can't have that happen. Not when you got 2 high first-round draft picks sitting at tight end and wide receiver.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Ritter went after those guys this last week. He had checkdowns. Checkdowns were available. He did not take the checkdowns. And really impressed me when he is in the pocket set and he drives that ball into his receivers. He is accurate as hell. I mean, he's really on target when he's driving the ball with his arm, with his strong arm. And he was giving the ball to guys in spots where they can make plays on it. Anticipating really well. And just, as I say, was going downfield, wasn't looking for the drop-off, wasn't looking for that check down, but taking what he was getting downfield, taking Pitts and taking London and getting them passes, getting them out of their routes and getting the ball to them. It was really something we have not seen out of Ritter yet, because last week, I followed along kind of what you had put in all Falcons and said, it's time we see what Ritter can do. Ritter's got to show something here.
Oh, you read my column.
I read, yeah. I read your column and I kind of based my show off of it because I was getting tired of seeing Ritter not doing these things, not going downfield. You got these big-bodied wide receivers, but you're not giving them a chance to make plays. Now, one question I had that came up to me that I wanted to ask you. Was Ritter taking the drop downs just because he was a young quarterback? Or is Ritter taking the check downs because Arthur Smith was telling him to get the ball into Bijan's hands and go for yards after catch and don't worry about getting the balls downfield as much?
I think if I had to guess, I mean, it's hard to say, to be honest, but if I had to guess, I think it's the former, that he's a young quarterback. And, last year a lot was made of that he didn't throw an interception. I think that was kind of, they want to be conservative. They want to play better defense this year. They have this rushing attack. They were number 1 in rushing last year. So they could just have a quarterback that doesn't make the big mistake. Maybe don't have to have the huge splash plays. But after 4 games, we kind of saw that the way it was going was not working. And then he made mistakes by throwing interceptions against the Jaguars. So, I mean, it didn't really the idea of playing safe and avoiding turnovers went out the window there. So
he was night and day. I mean, it's like he's playing conservatively for the first 4 games. Last week, he cut it loose.
Yeah.
I think Pitts had 11 targets. I think London had 9 targets.
Yeah.
And just getting the ball to these guys and, a couple of passes you would say were bad throws, but were actually good throws. Kind of, threw one high to Pitts on the sideline. Pitts couldn't control it. But he's putting the ball in areas where only his guys can get it. If you're throwing the ball up over London's head or over Pitt's head, defensive back doesn't have a chance. They're not getting it. And you got a chance to really make a play. You're giving your guys a chance to make a play. And that's what he did. And they made plays. It was wonderful.
It'd be one thing if you didn't have those playmakers on the outside to give them opportunities,
right?
Which a lot of we're seeing that in Carolina, right? The Bryce Young doesn't have those playmakers to just throw it up to. and put it in, try to give them an opportunity to make plays, not just throw it up, but throw it in a spot where only they can make a play on it. We haven't seen that yet from Young because he doesn't have, and they're more likely to have a conservative offense. With the Falcons, you have these playmakers that you drafted so early. Yeah, I mean, I understand the frustration in the fan base of let's get the ball to them. Let's get them involved. If that's going to be your team building strategy, then that's how you're going to win. But with these talented playmakers on the outside, and it was nice to see them finally involved in a big way.
Yes, it really was. That's the thing. It just happened. It was like night and day, like somebody turned a switch on. And Mad Mike had made a comment a couple of weeks ago or last week about them not moving Ritter in the pocket. They rolled him out of the pocket a couple of times.
Yeah.
And rolled him out on the touchdown. I think that was a run play option. And Ritter took the ball and went over, from the 4 or 5 yard line. But, Ritter made a good decision, and he's not Lamar Jackson,
sure.
But he's not a statue in the pocket either. You can use his mobility and negate some of the pass rush. And actually, the offensive line did a good job last week.
Yeah,
because I think Ritter had plenty of time to throw. But a great way to negate pass rush if you're having offensive line problems, get the guy out of the pocket, roll him. And
yeah, well, and I think the other big difference was the play action. They used play action a lot more, and it was baffling to me they weren't doing that at the beginning of the season because you have the number one run offense from last year. You drafted this great rookie in Bijan Robinson that everybody knows you want to get the ball to. So it seemed just so natural for Ritter to have those opportunities for play action pass, and it wasn't really consistently used until last week.
Yeah. So, I really was encouraged. I love what I saw out of Ritter last week, as I say, because and he's staring guys off. You watched the quarterback school with JT O'Sullivan because he pointed out one play in particular with Ritter, where Ritter froze the safety, stood right there, froze the safety, kept staring right at him. And then delivered the ball to Pitts, off to the right. But the safety couldn't move because he was expecting the play to come around him. He's reading Ritter's eyes. And Ritter's saying, okay, go ahead and read my eyes because that's not where I'm going with the ball. Mm-hmm. And it's a big difference. That's a big play. That's an NFL move. That's an NFL quarterback doing NFL things. And it makes a huge difference. And, it was nice to see him he made decisions. He did not hesitate when it was time to deliver the ball. He knew where he wanted to go with it, and he delivered it. And it was as I say, he's deadly accurate when he can throw the ball on a line. If he's got to put air under the ball, then he has problems. Like that post to Hollins that, we missed on a couple weeks ago. If he's got to put air under the ball, he's got problems. If he can throw it on the line to somebody, he is deadly accurate.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Brian brought up the offensive line as well. You were talking about how they played really well. McGarry left the game last week, but Storm Norman came in, played very well. Yep. Brian says, nice to have a legit swing tackle. Yeah, I mean, that's a really important part of an NFL roster.
Yeah, absolutely.
The backup tackle that can come in and play left tackle, play right tackle, and come in and have the offense not skip a beat, which is what happened last week with the Falcons. So, another thing I brought up in that column for allfalcons.com, and please, Falcons fans, check out allfalcons.com. Scott Kennedy and I tried to fill the website with good content all week long. Well, another thing I talked about was Ritter's home versus away record, Tom.
Yes.
And I think that's becoming should become a bigger and bigger story. 5-0 at home now. 0-4 on the road.
Yes.
At home, almost a 70% completion percentage with 7 touchdowns and 1 interception. Only been sacked 8 times, averaging 7.5 yards per attempt. On the road, that completion percentage drops to 59%, as you would expect. Lower completion percentage, lower yards per attempt average, 5.52, and 1 touchdown versus 2 interceptions, and he's taken 17 sacks, more than twice as many sacks on the road, and he's played fewer road games than home games.
Yeah, and boy, if I could figure that out, I'd be rich. But the thing, the really strange, and hey, Maggie T is here.
Hey, Maggie.
Great to see her. So, but one of the things that really drives me crazy about that home record is he did the same thing at Cincinnati. I don't think he ever lost at home at Cincinnati when he was playing there. So, amazing home record. But
Brian says, I'd have to confirm this. I have not heard this.
True.
Yeah.
He has not lost at home since high school.
That's pretty amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
I know.
And this, that's not going to really play all that much this week because, you look at that stat line, home versus away, and Brian, I do trust you. I trust you. I just like, knowing my sources. That's all. Because they have the home game this week against Washington that that I think you're feeling confident about it. Yeah. But
and the Bears just got done softening up Washington for it.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up because but you do have a team that just got crushed by what a lot of people thought was one of the worst teams in the league at home. And they've had the mini bye because that game happened on Thursday. Right. So, and also how important, if that trend continues where Ritter plays really well at home, but not on the road, Falcons do have more road games this year than home games. So you're going to look for improvement on the road in the second half of the season, but also like this game is very important.
Yes, it is.
Because you have a very beatable opponent at home.
Right.
It's almost a must win kind of thing if you want to even stay competitive in the NFC South.
Yeah, because you're going to Tampa Bay next week. In week 7. So you do need this win to keep yourself even with everybody else in the division with Tampa Bay, because it's a first place showdown coming up next week.
Right.
And that's what it's shaping up to be. So
yeah, and I think you can gain some ground in the division this week. I think Tampa Bay might struggle with Detroit. So you have an opportunity, I think, to gain a game on Tampa Bay, which is why, another reason why this game is very important. And they played Washington. I was going to say, I didn't look at the series history between the Falcons and Commanders / Redskins before jumping on the show. They did play last year.
Don't forget the football team too.
Oh, and the football team.
Commanders / football team / Redskins.
That's Redskins, yeah. Well, I think this game might have happened when they were the football team, actually. The game that I'm remembering, I think, was 2021, Arthur Smith's first season, and they were up by 8 in the fourth quarter, and Taylor Heineke was Washington's quarterback, and they ended up losing that game. So, I don't want to say this is a revenge game from that game 2 or 3 years ago that no one probably remembers but me, and Taylor Heineke not on the team anymore, and Taylly Heinicke hopefully not even playing in this game.
Right.
But
he can't play. No, you don't want to see him play in this game.
But that was a game that Atlanta should have won and could have kept them in the playoff on a little bit longer that year. And I kind of identify this one as a similar thing. Both were October games as well. Maybe that's why I'm kind of comparing the two in my mind.
Could be. But yeah, I think this is an extremely winnable game. And one of the problems that everybody's been talking about, I think can actually get fixed this game, is the Falcons' pass rush and actually finishing pass rushes, getting those sacks that they have been missing out on so far this year. Sam Howell's the most sacked quarterback in the NFL right now. So you got a chance to take advantage of a weaker offensive line and really doing something with it and giving your defense some confidence. And I'm not saying this defense lacks confidence. It's this, I said last week, and I still stand by it. This is a playoff caliber defense. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
No, has done an excellent job building a playoff caliber defense. So, but yeah, they're not getting to the quarterback. The pressure rate is high. I don't pay a lot of attention to pressure rate because to me, that means the quarterback is still getting rid of the ball. If the quarterback delivers the ball, then gets knocked down, well, it's considered a knockdown. It's considered pressure. He still delivers the ball. He's still gotten the ball away, or else he's got the ball out of bounds. It only counts when you bring him to the ground. You get him behind the chains. You get that offense behind the chains. Now you're getting them a second and long, third and long. That's what counts. That's what they need to be doing. And I want to see more of that in this game.
I agree, but I do think it's a lazy take. I think I saw that this week that, well, it was this week with the Falcons. The argument from Bleacher Report was they need to trade for Frank Clark, who, by the way, has been released since that article.
I saw that article too.
And the reason for it was because they have 5 sacks this year. And it's kind of lazy. It's a lazy take. I'll just say because you look at the yes, you're right. They're not getting sacks. They need to finish finish at the quarterback, bring him down, get them in longer second, third down situations, all that good stuff you just said. But the pressure rate is there. And over time, especially against a quarterback like Sam Howell, I think that can make a difference.
Yes, it
can. You make the guy uncomfortable, and he's thinking already in his head, where's the pressure coming from on this play? Mm-hmm. And I got to get rid of the ball quickly. And then when the quarterback's thinking that, unless it's Tom Brady or a very experienced guy back there who knows where to go with the ball, when it's Sam Howell, that leads to interceptions. He holds onto the ball and you get sacked. So I think this defense is in a good spot with their pressure rate and getting the quarterbacks, not for sacks, but getting to quarterbacks, putting on pressure, knockdowns, that sort of thing, hurries a lot more than the last few years, for sure.
Oh, hell, the last few years have been terrible.
Yeah.
They didn't even get pressures the last couple of years. They're at least breaking down the offensive line a little bit now.
Right.
And collapsing the pocket a bit and getting some action going on their defensive line. But overall, I love how this team swarms to the football. And they are gang tackling. They love to just gang up on the ball carrier. And I think Caden Ellis has been a big fill there. The secondary with Jesse Bates quarterbacking that secondary, I think that secondary is playing quite a bit more effectively than they did last year. We thought they looked weak last year, but that's been a strong secondary too. So, yeah, increasing the pressure rate has helped. Got to take that next step now. You win games by getting teams behind the chains.
Yeah.
And that's what they got to do next.
Yeah. Yeah. And this should be a great opportunity for them to do that. Brian brought up Chicago had just 2 sacks before that week 5 matchup against Washington. They had 5 sacks in the game against Howell. So that kind of breakout game is certainly possible for the Falcons.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I'm looking forward to seeing how the Falcons progress this game. I want to see them keep Ritter looking downfield, 10, 15 yards downfield. And another thing is with Ritter's arm, these Falcons receivers do not get a lot of separation. Actually, a lot of times the defender is not too far from the target. London is not fast. Pitts is not fast. they're not getting away from their coverage. And that's why I want to see Ritter keep driving the ball to them the way he did last week, because you're not giving the defender have a chance to make a play on the ball if you're driving the ball the way he is. And even if they're not getting great separation, they're giving you a spot to deliver the football. And that's what I want to see continuing this week against Washington.
Yeah, Dave is here. He says, good afternoon, guys. He brought up Frank Clark is kind of a malcontent who wants a lot of playing time, that he won't receive that with the Falcons. Yeah, I mean, I always find those trade stories interesting. I write a lot of aggregation trade stories for Heavy and All Falcons and Sports Illustrated. It's because you guys, the readers, like to read them.
Yes,
they're very popular. But do I think the Falcons should trade for Frank Clark or sign him now? No, I don't really think so. That's not something I would argue, but somebody else did. That's fine. Marcel is here. Hi, Marcel. He says,
I think you made a good argument in your article this week that, why it isn't the time to do that.
Yeah. So, and again, it came back to, they're not getting a lot of sacks, but they're getting the pressures. And I think the sacks are going to come. Marcel says Washington will be ready for this game. Believe that. I think they will, Marcel. And I think Atlanta's got to not underestimate them. Maybe like a Washington underestimated the Bears kind of look like last week. And come out and play at home like they have this season. And I think if they do that, they should be fine. This is definitely a game that they should win.
You're still playing a team that's near the bottom in points allowed, points per play, points per drive on defense. They're 30th and 31st. They give up plenty of net passing yards per attempt. They're 27th in that on defense. They're 28th in defensive passer rating. You can move the ball on these guys. All right. Yeah, they may be ready, but you can still move the ball on them. So, the Falcons, if they come out with that same intensity, with that same game plan, as far as moving the ball downfield, I think they can be very effective against this defense. So, that's what the Falcons did last week should carry them well this week against Washington.
And Playa Stats brings up a great point that we haven't mentioned yet. The Falcons did do a trade this week.
They did.
Not for Frank Clark, but they got Van Jefferson. And Playa Stats says Van Jefferson should help with that, referring to pushing the ball downfield, I believe is when he wrote that. And absolutely. I like Van Jefferson.
Well, so do I.
I don't really know what's happened to him this year or even last year. He wasn't really involved. I don't really get why, because, Matthew Stafford came back this year. Maybe last year was kind of a quarterback thing. But Stafford's back. Cooper Kupp wasn't playing. I know you had that great rookie that was stealing all the targets, but Van Jefferson still should have gotten deep opportunities. And,
yeah.
By
the way, one of my favorite NFL names now.
Yeah, it is a fun name. Star Lotulelei, still my favorite.
But Van Jefferson should help take the top off of this defense, and that's something that the Falcons don't have. There is not a lot of speed among the Falcons receivers this year, and that is a problem. So you would like to see Van Jefferson loosen up that coverage a little bit. Maybe draw that free safety a little bit farther back, and keep kind of keep them honest a little bit. So I do look forward to seeing what Van Jefferson can do in this offense.
Brian brought up a great point. Jefferson was hurt at the beginning of last season. I think he missed the first 4 or 5 games, maybe more than that. And that's kind of common where guys miss the beginning of the season. We try to downplay how important it is to participate in off-season workouts and play in preseason games and stuff like that. But then at least guys that are injured, not even practicing, they come in and they're behind the 8 ball when they join the team in October. And in a lot of ways, that might have been why Jefferson couldn't get going last year.
Yeah, it could be. Right. Once he came back, it just wasn't the same thing. He wasn't able to get in tune with Matthew Stafford, and it just didn't work out. These things do happen sometimes. So, but yeah, I look forward to seeing him. I think he knows he's got a great opportunity coming to Atlanta. And I think Atlanta's the Falcons offense and Arthur Smith and Desmond Ridder are looking forward to having him. Because again, you're taking the safety help somewhere else instead of having them always looking at Pitts or London. It's going to be an advantage because I don't think Hollins isn't fast enough to do that, to be able to draw coverage. So, traveling Charlie, yes, I am feeling much better this week. I had hay fever last week. I had bad hay fever last weekend. I was sneezing like crazy. I almost couldn't do the show. But, doing a lot better. Thank you, traveling Charlie. I do appreciate that. So, I think Van Jefferson does nothing but help this team.
Is this game one of your picks for against the spread?
It could be.
Oh, what a tease. What a tease.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Come on, tell us your picks against the spread. It's that time.
You're good at this stuff, aren't I?
Yeah. True.
I'm getting good at teasing.
We just need a commercial break. That's it. That was the only thing missing there.
Yeah, exactly. So are the Falcons one of Nostradamus's big picks for this weekend?
Find out after the break.
Find out after the break. Oh, man. Yes, actually they are. Because, again, at home and how well they play at home. And the fact that I love their defense. I like the way the Falcons are playing defense. And I think they found something on offense last week. And by the way, I don't want to finish this without mentioning Bijan Robinson. Did you see a replay of that touchdown he had? Where
I have not, no.
Ridder flipped the ball with his left hand to Bijan Robinson, down on the goal line. Robinson caught the ball, carried it on his hip, faked the linebacker out of his shoes, and then went in to score. And it's just amazing what Bijan Robinson can do. He has such great hands. It's really surprising to see Bijan Robinson and the hands he did. So incredible play. But I think Bijan Robinson has a great game. The Commanders are 26th in yards per attempt against, so they can be run on. And I think Algier, Bijan Robinson are going to eat a little bit this week. So I do look for the Falcons. Yeah. Even though the Falcons are winning, they haven't covered really this year. They've missed on their covers. So we're going to actually get – there he is.
Yeah, he's getting hungry. He's like, Tom.
I could tell,
yeah. Another Tom out.
Yeah, so I do like the Falcons this week. I got a couple more for you. Seattle Seahawks are underdogs this week at the Cincinnati Bengals. For one, I think the bye week rewards good coaches, and I think Pete Carroll is a very good coach. Seattle plays very well in the Eastern time zone, but you don't really think of for a team that's coming from the West Coast. They do play very well in the Eastern time zone. And I am still not sold on Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Yeah, they broke out last week some, but it was against Arizona. And Josh Dobbs had a terrible game at quarterback for Arizona last week. So,
yeah,
I'm not sold on Cincinnati yet.
The way Joe Burrow played gives you confidence that they're going to figure it out. And because the Ravens and Browns look good, except when they play the Steelers. So it's like the Steelers are keeping the Bengals afloat in that division in a way. because the Ravens. I mean, if the Ravens were 4-1, I feel a lot worse about the Bengals' chances. But everybody in that division is 3-2 or worse.
Right. So it's, I love Joe Burrow. I'm a big Joe Burrow fan, but I think he's still hurt, and I don't think he's as on target as he wants to be. I don't think he's playing in sync the way he wants to be.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to get it as the season goes on. The Bengals usually play better at the second half of the season anyway.
Right.
So, but I like the way the Seahawks are playing. The Seahawks are showing you last year was not a fluke. This is a good team.
Well, what's the spread in that one?
The Bengals are favored by 2.5.
Yeah.
I'm saying take the road dog to win.
Okay. I like that pick.
Yeah. Eagles are giving 6.5 points to the New York Jets. Only 6.5. My God. You're downplaying the Eagles? I know it's a late afternoon game. I know the Jets have played well the last couple of weeks. But the Jets are coming off games where they played a Kansas City team that has spent the last 2 weeks playing down to their competition. They should have beat Denver by a lot more than they did the week before. But and then the Jets beat up on Denver. And Denver might just be one of the worst teams in the league, along with Carolina and New England. Just 3 total trash teams in the NFL right now.
Hard to believe, especially with Denver and New England. It's two of the supposedly. I mean, I shouldn't even say supposedly, especially with Belichick, one of the greatest coaches ever, and then a guy that I'll say supposedly one of the greatest coaches. There, I'm playing up to my audience with that one, Tom.
Yeah. I'm telling you, you got a future in this here video or YouTube broadcasting thing here.
Supposedly a genius there. So it's shocking that he's struggling to figure out how to score points with Russell Wilson and the Broncos there.
Yeah, it really is. Russell Wilson might be done. Seriously, he might be done. I don't think he even got to 100 passing yards this last week.
I think it was 97.
Yeah. So it might be over for him, and which is rough because I'm a Russell Wilson fan too.
Yeah.
Everybody kept calling Russell Wilson a game manager. I kept saying, no, you're not watching. You're definitely not watching Russell Wilson play football if you think all he is a game manager. So, I've always been a big Russell Wilson fan, but I think he's done. I think he's washed up. He's given everything he is. So,
Brian agrees with you. He says Russell Wilson looked like an old man out there Thursday night. Marcel with a dagger. 2 coaches carried by great quarterbacks. Oops, my bad.
Well, if you look at it, what has Belichick done since the Tom Brady era? And what has Sean Payton done since Drew Brees retired? I mean, come on.
I mean, it's hard to I like the dig, Marcel. That's funny and definitely timely. But I mean, with Belichick, Tom Brady was a 6th round pick. Bill Belichick made Tom Brady into who he became.
Here's my little girl, by the way. Zozo's here. She's made her appearance.
Yep.
We got Zozo and Thomas.
And
you want to do like who is on the Atlanta Sports Unlimited channel where it's I forget his name now. Does the show with his son.
Yeah. I forget the name of their show too. Chris, are you there? Do you know the name of the show on the channel?
I'm here. What was that?
The name of the channel, the name of the show with the kid and the co-host on Atlanta Sports Unlimited.
Oh, Dad and Demi. Come on.
I just completely blanked. I'm sorry.
It's all good, Tom. It's all good. Listen, you gave me COVID through the computer last week. So,
Oh,
so I'm still a little fuzzy coming back. But I know Tom did not have COVID, everyone. He had hay fever, but I did test positive on Monday for COVID.
oh God, Chris.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Chris.
Listen,
Terrible.
but
Yes.
I give you a pass, Tom. We're both recovering from sickness, so it's no big deal. It's
Okay. All right. So, but yeah, you ought to think about doing one of those shows with Thomas.
Doing well with his picks. He's still in first place. The family pick him.
Yeah, he's got it going. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, picks the Falcons every week, Steelers every week.
Right.
Doesn't pick the Saints. Doesn't pick the Patriots.
Good kid. Definitely a good kid. You're raising him right.
Or the Browns or Ravens or Bengals. Yeah, he doesn't pick them either.
But Philly is so good. I know they've had troubles on offense. They have not been as dynamic on offense as you expect them to be. They've almost lost a couple of games this season. But for crying out loud, they're playing the Jets.
The Eagles have never lost to the Jets, ever.
Yes, I know.
Ever.
I heard that. Yes.
I get they probably haven't played that often. It's like, what,
Right.
12 matchups or something?
12-0 against the
12-0.
Jets. Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty hard to believe that there's a team, that two teams in the league that have been in the league for a long time.
Right.
They're not expansion teams.
I mean, the merger was 1970, and they were both there.
Right. And there's two teams from the 1970 merger, and one hasn't beaten the other. That's hard to imagine.
Unbelievable. Yes. I read that this week, and I just couldn't believe it. And I did StatCast on ProFootballReference.com just to check, and against each other, and it's 12-0. It's just amazing. So
you got the Eagles winning that one again.
I think 6.5. Yes. I think the Eagles are way undervalued against the Jets at 6.5. And I'm telling you, I wanted to pull the trigger on like Buffalo Bills for Sunday night. And why do we keep getting the Giants on primetime? What is this?
I don't know. The flex games can't come soon enough for the Giants.
Oh, I'm telling you, get them off of primetime. But the Bills are 15.5-point favorites in that game against the Giants on Sunday night. I really wanted to pull the trigger on that game.
Did you want to what?
I wanted to pull the trigger on that game. I really wanted to. I'm still tempted.
To go with the Bills?
Yeah, to go with the Bills. Because I'm telling you, and I know some people are saying, well, the Bills are traveling back from London. They don't have a bye. But I don't think traveling from east to west. I know when I traveled, if I skipped a time zone from east to west, it didn't bother me. West to east, I had problems. You've come back from London before. Have you noticed that?
Absolutely, yeah. It's much harder going to London than coming back.
Yeah.
For sure. I
think the Bills are going to be ready to play this week. And I think they want to wash the taste of that Jacksonville loss out of their mouth.
Yeah.
And
you're right.
The Giants are going to be playing Tyrod Taylor at quarterback, no Saquon Barkley. This is just, it's pathetic. So I came close to picking that one. And I still may pick that one. I don't like 2-score spreads.
Yeah.
But man, the Giants are so bad. What was on the other big spread I've been wanting to jump on this week?
The Dolphins?
The Dolphins too, but the 49ers are playing the Cleveland Browns and are only favored by 9.5. And I don't see Cleveland coming within 2 scores of the 49ers.
The ESPN spread, which is set, I think, much earlier in the week, has that game at 5.5.
Yeah, it's climbed a little bit since then. It opened at about 5.5.
Okay.
But so much money is coming in on the 49ers that they've raised that to 9.5 now.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, it's surprising. Yeah, the Dolphins over the Panthers, 14 points. You got the leading passer in the league going against a team that can't get out of its own way. Miles Sanders is hurt. As I say, I hate double-digit spreads, but you almost can't pass that one up because of the way Carolina plays and the fact that Bryce Young is still feeling his way. But what can you do? I'm not recommending those, but I'm saying those might be good plays to go along with the Falcons, Seahawks, and Eagles. If you really want to stretch yourself this week.
I don't have any picks against the spread, Tom, but there's a lot of good options for your Survivor League this week, it seems like. Yeah. And I'm going with the Dolphins. I like the Dolphins this week.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't picked them yet. So a lot of, obviously, if you've already picked the 49ers or you've already picked the Bills, then or if you've already picked the Dolphins, like maybe you picked the Dolphins last week against the Giants, then go. I think the Bills would be a good pick, but I haven't picked the Dolphins yet, so I'm going with the Dolphins.
I think that's a great pick. I think that's an outstanding pick. So go with that. We got our prize picks for today. Wrap up with that. Do you have any prize picks that you have come up with, or?
Not a whole lot. I do have. I have one. I think Lamar Jackson's going to bounce back. Really bad second half last week, and you look at the Prize Picks app. Is it on sale? I guess is the best way to put it. So I'm tempted to go with the sale there. And by the way, when you sign up for Prize Picks, use our promo code ASU. That gets you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. And when you sign up with our promo code, the first player I would say to use this week is Lamar Jackson, because 226 or 225 and a half passing yards. He's got to only hit 197. Go over 197. 197 and a half is the over-under. Right. I would say over that. He's been over that 3 out of 5 games this season. And against the Tennessee Titans, I think he'll do that.
So do I. And they also have Tua Tagovailoa on
sale. Yeah. Yeah.
49.5.
Is that one of your other picks?
I think both of them are good. I actually got a couple of other picks that you can take. One of them, let me find my sheet here. Where the hell did I do it? There it is. I like DeAndre Hopkins against the Ravens, +5 catches.
Okay.
Treylon Burks is out. So Hopkins is going to see extra work this week. Also does very good work against man defense. Baltimore Ravens play a lot of man. I like to fill out your Prize Picks brackets. I do like DeAndre Hopkins. And again, my new favorite name in the NFL, Puka Nacua, the Samoan, and comes from Samoa. I looked it up because I love that name. So the Cardinals let Joe Burrow go off last week, and I think the Rams are going to go off against the Cardinals this week. And even with Cooper Kupp back, Pakua still kept getting his opportunity. So +65.5 receiving yards. I love Puka Nacua on that. One more, Bijan Robinson, an anytime touchdown, passing or receiving. Or receiving or running. Bijan Robinson, passing, right? Bijan Robinson.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Bijan Robinson, anytime touchdown. And I think that's a good bet. I like that one.
I like that one too. I like all your picks. And I just got a text message from my own mother that has a screenshot of me and Thomas on the show currently. Kind of weird. But you're not in the picture, Tom. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just.
I thought your mother liked me.
Let me double check. I don't think you were in the photo. Oh, she sent a second photo. You were in the second. You were in the second photo. You're in the second photo.
Actually, I don't mind not being in photos. I'm fine with that. That's okay. I only go on camera once a week, and that's for this.
Right. Yeah.
I don't do much on camera.
Well, Thomas says hi to Brian. Brian said hi to him a little bit earlier in the show.
Yep.
And Marcel, yeah, I hate to end the show on a low note, but Marcel says I've had enough of Philly. And I think maybe he was referring to the Eagles, but maybe also the Phillies. I've had enough of the Phillies as well.
Oh yeah,
I
would say so.
Yeah. I'm pretty new to Braves fandom is how I would describe it. Been a season ticket holder the last 2 years. When the Braves and Pirates play, I still root for the Pirates. But at this point, I watch more Braves games. I go to Braves games, raising my son in Atlanta. And 2 years in a row, getting ousted by the Phillies. Lucky for you, Tom, the Cubs have moved up. The baseball team power rankings in our house.
Yeah.
The Cubs are like 27th now. The Phillies are way down there.
Oh man. Oh, if you'd only come up on baseball at the same time that I did, you'd be more of a Cubs fan.
I would be a Cubs fan.
You would be more of a Cubs fan.
Oh, more.
You wouldn't be so against them as you are. So,
sorry.
I grew up with Ernie Banks, Billy Williams, Ron Santo, Fergie Jenkins, all those guys. I love, and that's the team I fell in love with, and have been ever since. So, but yeah, I can understand Marcel having had plenty of Philly, because the Braves had a chance in that game. Bloated the bases, couldn't score, and that was it. That seventh inning, they had a chance in the seventh inning to do something. We're making noise in the ninth inning, but they were at the bottom of their order. Yeah. So what were you going to do?
Well, I think one thing they could have done was not swing at the first pitch, Kevin Pillar, and a weak fly to the shortstop.
Right.
You're not facing the normal closer. You're facing the sixth inning guy. Make him throw some pitches.
Right. Exactly.
That could have been one thing they could have done. And Kevin Pillar also could have scored on the wild pitch, and that could have changed the whole dynamic of the last 2 innings, because you can tie the game in the 9th inning with a sacrifice fly rather than really another hit with no outs. So yeah, overall, it just was another very disappointing postseason for the Braves after another 100-win campaign, and I don't know, easier said than done, but it's very clear that, like, I saw it in the Marlins series with the Phillies. They came into the postseason on a mission. Like, they want to go back to the World Series and they want to win it. And I don't watch the Phillies on an everyday basis. I know they got off to a slow start, but they've been playing well since August, September. And I don't want to say that you can just turn it off and turn it on. It's not that easy. But the Phillies very clearly know that late in the season they're going to give their best, and they've been at their best in August, September, October these last 2 years. And again, easier said than done, but the Braves just got to figure out, all right, maybe we won't win 100 games next year, but what can we do to be playing our best baseball in September and October? Because they didn't really play well in September either.
No. Sometimes it's a long season. It's a marathon. Sometimes you get guys who get tired out a little bit. And that's what happened to the Cubs. David Ross kept running the same lineup out day after day after day after day. And more guys out. That's why they fell off out of the wild card race. Yeah. Sometimes you've got to have faith in your bench, and you have faith enough to rest guys in the middle of a pennant race. Let them sit for a day, and not have all that pressure on them, and get a little bit of rest. And I think that's how you do it. You got to get these guys out of the lineup every now and then.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know necessarily if it's rest for the Braves, but just have the postseason in mind with every decision you make next year.
Right.
Every single decision that you make.
Yeah.
Not to be the best team in the regular season, which I think is kind of what they've, not that they don't want to win the World Series. Of course they do, but it just seems like we're making these decisions to make our roster better, and which really that's not the goal. The goal is how are you positioning your team to win in October?
Right.
There is a slight difference, I think.
There is.
That the Braves, I think, changed their line of thinking a little bit. But again, it's easy for me to say that and a lot harder to find the solution.
Have more faith in your roster in September. And don't worry about winning 100 games. You had the division sewn up.
Right.
Have more faith in your roster. Let guys get some rest. You'll bench a couple of guys.
Yeah, well, I think they got caught up in staying in front of the Dodgers. They wanted to have home field for the Dodgers series and the championship series. And you know what?
You don't even have a Dodgers series.
Well, the Dodgers didn't advance. The Orioles, the other team they were trying to stay ahead of if they faced in the World Series, they're out of it. And that's a discussion for another day that I'm sure we will talk about. Is maybe it's better not to get the bye in the baseball playoffs and better to finish as the third best record among the division winners. But
have your players ready to play in October.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. You've got your players playing hard in July, August, and into September. And they're a little tired in October. Don't worry about the Dodgers. Don't worry about the Orioles. Let them have their fun. Just make sure you're ready to play, and make sure you got your guys feeling good when they go out on the field in October.
Yeah. Brian brings up the point I was making. All the 100 win teams are gone out of the playoffs, and
there are.
And that I can talk a long time about why that might be, and we can debate it, and we will another time, but we're out of time today.
Yes, we are.
Thanks for tuning in. Tom will be back on his own, hopefully with Chris as well, producing next week. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks after another Sunday wedding, Tom. Another Sunday wedding.
Yeah. So looking forward to seeing everybody next week. Thank you for spending time with us again today. Appreciate you taking time out of your Saturdays with us. And everyone, have a great week.